Very nice to see you. New seats, new governor, new table. So if you would please introduce yourself, tell us why you want to be a judge.
Okay. My name is Alicia, Washington. I have a practice here in Bunnell. Started my practice in 2008. I want to be a judge because I feel like I have the qualifications needed to be a good judge. I've been practicing now for 21 years. I've practiced in many diverse areas of the law that cross county and circuit court level, so I believe that that would make me an asset to the Flagler bench. You might not know, for some of you that don't live here, Flagler only has one county judge until this position was created, and 2 circuit judges. So you can imagine our circuit judges are very overwhelmed. And it's been very beneficial for Flagler County to have Judge Disler, who also practiced in many various areas of the law and has been able to take on cross assignments of circuit cases. So I believe that first and foremost, you are all here looking for the most qualified person. And in looking at my application and knowing my experience, I feel comfortable in saying that I feel that I am the most qualified applicant for the position. In addition to the legal qualifications, I believe I have demonstrated my commitment to this community. When I came here in 2008, I had no thoughts of being a judge in my mind. I purchased a house here in 2007 and I was working in Volusia County. I had a 3-year-old about to deliver a new baby, traveling to Volusia County to work. And one day it hit me, why is my life in Volusia when I live in Flagler? So I decided to open a practice here. And when I decided to open a practice here, I also decided to become a part of this community. First year out, even with a 3-year-old and an infant, I became very active in the Flagler Chamber of Commerce. I served on the Bunnell Board of Directors. We initiated the Bunnell Potato Festival. We started the Bunnell Revitalization Grants to help businesses, because remember, 2008 was a time when the economy had really crashed. So we wanted to help our local businesses. We wanted to foster relationships with the community members that frequent those businesses. I did all of these things because I felt it was my civic duty to do it, to become a part of the community. And again, when you look at the applicants now and you have to make a decision, you might be able to look at a person and say, they're going to give Flagler County that same level of commitment. I'm here to tell you I've already demonstrated that, and I will continue to demonstrate it because it's just who I am. Lastly, and I got the note, I got a warning about using too much time in the introduction and not getting to the important questions. So lastly, I will say, one of the things that I'm very excited about is a part of the large impetus in getting this position was there's a desire to have a veterans court here in Flagler County. Of all the applicants, I believe I am uniquely qualified to preside in veterans court. I am a veteran myself, having served in the Army National Guard. Through that experience, I have learned that veterans are in need and they deserve to have those needs addressed. I'm also the daughter of a 30-year service career military man who served at the age of 18 in Vietnam. And the Army provided him a way to provide for his family. He was 7 of 9 children, and his mother passed during the childbirth of the last child. So without the Army, you know, being from Louisiana and not having a lot of options, he might not have been able to provide for his family in the way that he did. But there were also a lot of invisible wounds that you couldn't see that he suffered as a result of that war that impacted him and impacted the family. So I think it's very, very important that we return the favor to our service members and provide them with support because they defend our very freedoms. I'll shut up now.
Well, in terms of the importance of local connection, you know, but I share with the rest of the commission. I mean, I encourage you to put in for the Volusia County seats a couple years ago, and you said, I'm not leaving this community, and so those will be the seats for me. So we only see you for circuit court. So talk a little bit about, now that we're seeing you on a county court, the attributes you would bring to the county court bench and why you're a good fit for county court.
Well, I'm a good fit for county court because I have litigated in my practice in every area that a county court judge will see. So it's not going to be new to me. It's not going to be a large learning curve. I also know that in county court, you are dealing with a large number of pro se litigants. Doing family law, I deal with a lot of pro se litigants because not everyone can afford to hire an attorney. So, you know, I think that having had those experiences and having the temperament to be able to understand that pro se litigants aren't the stepchildren of the judicial process. I mean, they have a right to equal access to the court system, and they should not be treated any worse or any better because they don't have the money to retain counsel. They pay for these services just like everyone else does, and they're entitled to it. So my experiences primarily, and I'll be honest with you, every circuit position I put in for, of course I want it. But when I laid out the pros and cons, the cons were always, okay, they're gonna probably put me in Volusia County for a year or two, and then maybe they'll put me in St. Johns County. But I always wanted to devise some master plan that would land me back in Flagler County. I mean, it was, you know, it was just, I'm gonna do whatever they tell me to do, but this is where I wanna land. And I remember one short list, both I and Judge Disler was on the list. And I'm talking to her and I said to her, you know, I really want this position. But if I don't get it, I want you to get it because I want your position. And I asked her, I said, are you crazy? Why are you going for the circuit? You live here, you have kids here, you have community here, you know, why? I mean, and I remember back then, you know, she'll never admit it, but I think that did make her kind of think about it.
I think you talked her out of it. We haven't seen her since.
Yeah, I'm like, why? It's the best of, I said I would kill for your position. Luckily, I don't have to kill her now. I mean, it's a second position available. Well, I'm just saying, you know, things, you know. There's a second position now, and she and I, we were colleagues when we practiced law. I have the utmost respect for her work ethic. I believe that my work ethic matches hers. I'm not going to get up at 4:30. I mean, I can probably match her at maybe 5:30. But I have the utmost respect for her, and I just think that it would be a very smooth working relationship because I believe that we both feel the same, that this job is very important and we want to do it to the best of our capabilities. I've demonstrated that as a lawyer. I mean, one of my tenements is always practice with professionalism. I think if you talk to any judge I've appeared in front of, I've tried to do that. Now, you know, I might have had a contentious case here or there where I might have had a little bit of a foggy brain on it for a moment, but I always brought myself back to the basics. You know, you have to bring honor and integrity to your profession, and I try to do that.
Alicia, we have sent you up a number of times. Were we to send you up again this time? Tell us what you have learned about your interaction with the governor's office. What would you do more? What would you do different if we send you up this time?
You know, I didn't realize that I have been interviewing with this committee for 6 years. It just, times just kind of seems to fly. And when I sat back and I looked at it and I evaluated my performance through those 6 years, I have to admit that I do feel I'm a better candidate now than I was 6 years ago. It's a growing process. You have to learn to deal with disappointment. You have to learn to rise above it. You have to learn to continue to try, even though it might not appear that you have a good chance, that you have to just continually try to better yourself. I am hoping that the advantage for me in this position now is that Governor DeSantis was once our representative. And so the people that I feel that he will rely on, and that's the difficult thing for governors. I mean, they're governing an entire state. They don't have the time to form relationships with every single applicant, so they have to rely on people they trust. So Governor DeSantis, I believe that the people that he will go to for, not to make the decision, but for just to give their input, will say to him, look, she has demonstrated her capability. I believe she is the right choice for Flagler County. They can do that part. I had to learn through this process to get out of my own way. I had to learn to not expect denial, expect that someone wasn't going to talk to me or help me, and shy away from that contact because I was scared of that rejection. I had to learn to put that aside, because if you don't do it, the answer is always no. If you do it, there's that chance it's going to work out. And so it's just been a first time ever, and I think Mr. Green will say this, out of all the rounds, I've never had contact with any committee members prior to any of the interviews, anything. But I have been tracking this legislation from the start. So I called Mr. Green, I'm like, okay, it's effective July 1. So then the letter is going to come out, and then the interviews are going to get set, because this time I was on it so early, just from the inception, because I felt like this is it, this is the position that I want. So I've been very, very aggressive. A lot of times I would feel funny about reaching out to certain people until the short list came out, because I felt like they would think, well, you're getting a little ahead of yourself, you have to get through that process first. I told them I'm talking to you now, and I'll be back after the short list comes out. So just understanding that it's my job to get the job. I can't sit back and think this person is going to say this for me, or this person, because at the end of the day, if I am on the short list and I do go to Tallahassee for the interview, I have to convince those people in that room that I'm the person for the job. And it starts way before you get in there. And I'm ready. Honestly, I just...
Alicia, let me stop you. I can tell you, you're not the only one that feels that way. There would be a lot of disappointment in this commission if you weren't on the short list, and there's going to be an incredible amount of disappointment in the governor's office if you're not the one that ends up getting appointed. And I don't want to speak for anybody else here, but that's coming from a lot of judges. That's coming from a lot of lawyers. There's a lot of folks that I'm talking to feel like this is your time. So, and I don't mind saying that on the record. I hope Tallahassee is listening. So good luck.
Me too. Can you like put a little intro music before that part, before he says that part? No? Got it? Okay. Me too. But you know how I am. I feel like everything happens for a reason. I'm going to continue to do the things that I do in the community because it's my community, irrespective of whether I get a position or not. But if chosen to serve, I will serve humbly and dutifully. And it would just simply be a dream come true for me.
What about electability?
Who wouldn't vote for me? Come on, Mr. Morgan, seriously, who wouldn't vote for me? Let me tell you. And that's why I'm very careful about the projects that I become involved in. I want to involve myself in things that I truly believe in, so that the relationships that I form are real relationships. Those are people that will get on the street and they will campaign for me, and they will get people to come in there and vote for me. And I've been working on that all along, So I definitely feel like I have demonstrated the commitment that would in turn result in people committing themselves to come out and vote for me. I'm ready. I mean, I am ready. That's...
Any other questions? I think you may want to leave it at that, but if you have any other words for us,
Just thank you. I know it's been a long day. I couldn't believe you guys did all these interviews in one day. I know you're exhausted. And just thank you so much for your service. You guys really do an incredible job of vetting qualified applicants for these positions, and it has really served our circuit well. So just thank you for your service. That's it. The table was a very nice addition.